Hi there, welcome back to this series, and today's topic is Sprint Backlog in Jira. I am getting a lot of messages and emails about the Sprint Backlog where the people are asking what is Sprint Backlog and where is the Sprint Backlog in Jira. How can we see the Sprint Backlog in Jira? That's why I am creating this video. So in this video I'll explain you what is Sprint Backlog and how can you see the Sprint Backlog in Jira. This is the same agenda that I have for this video. Is what is Sprint Backlog and where is the Sprint Backlog in Jira. We'll move forward and see what is Sprint Backlog. So Sprint Backlog is a list of tasks identified by the Scrum team to be completed during the sprint. As I explained you in my previous video, during the sprint planning meeting, the team selects some number of the product backlog items, usually in the form of user stories and tasks which are necessary to complete each user stories. So those number of the items selected in the sprint planning meeting forms sprint backlog. I hope you remember this picture from my previous video. We have selected the few items from our product backlog for the sprint. So these selected 5 issues, the 4 user stories and the 1 bug forms the sprint backlog. So this is the area which is called the sprint backlog in Jira. We can see it live. So let's go to our Jira cloud instance and I'll show you the same picture in my live cloud instance. This is my Jira cloud instance and you can see we have the 5 issues that we selected for a PA sprint 1, and I have selected these 5 issues in my previous video. If you haven't seen this video yet, then please feel free to go back to video number 17 and ask that. You will be able to understand how you will make the sprint and how can you move the issues from your product backlog to the sprint backlog. So this is the product backlog where we have the 7 issues, and this is the sprint backlog where we have the 5 issues. This is the area which is called the sprint backlog in Jira. And in sprint backlog, the development team can plan their work accordingly. They can create the task, they can create the subtask, but actually the subtask will be displayed here or not. It depends upon the filters, how you gonna to write the filters of your board or your backlog. So about the filters, how can you write the filter, how can you write the JQL, I'll explain later in the series. I'll tell you the sprint backlog definition as per the Scrum guide, how they are explaining the sprint backlog in their own words. As per the Scrum guide, sprint backlog is one of the Scrum artifacts. In Scrum guide, basically we have the 3 Scrum artifacts: the sprint backlog, the product backlog and the increment. So I'll explain you the one of this Scrum artifact which is sprint backlog. So as per the Scrum guide, the sprint backlog is a set of the product backlog items selected for the sprint plus a plan for delivering the product increment and realizing the sprint goal. A sprint goal means an objective that you keep in your mind and you have to achieve that sprint goal within that sprint. The sprint backlog is a forecast by the development team about what functionality will be in the next increment and the work needed to deliver that functionality into a done increment. So this is the definition of the sprint backlog as per the Scrum guide. The sprint backlog makes visible all the work that the development team identifies as necessary to meet the sprint goal. So this is all about the sprint backlog. I hope you are able to understand what is the meaning of the sprint backlog and how can you create the sprint backlog where you can see the sprint backlog in Jira. Basically the sprint backlog means the number of the product backlog items that we select for a sprint, which is from the sprint backlog. I hope you like this video, and if you still have some questions or query about the sprint backlog, then please feel free to ask in the comment box and definitely I'll reply. Thanks for watching. Thank you.